back, which wasn't ideal. So welcome back to the Leeds lobby. We're going to spend our live this evening talking a little bit about the match that's just taken place a little bit earlier on today. We're going to have a chat about what we thought the players played like, who we thought stood out, what we thought of the performance, how it reflects upon Leeds United going into the new season. And we're also then going to spend some time having a good look around what we think of the new signings and which of them stand out to us, which of them we think are not quite up to scratch, and who we think is going to feature.
Good evening.
Second Racket, it's good to have you in the room, in the chat room, in the house, as it were. So we've got to say in big Tobes Leranoy saying it's becoming increasingly clear that when Adams isn't on the pitch, we're incredibly vulnerable to the counter, barring Cox's miscontrol against Villa. The rest of the game, he was not in the... So we're back again. Sorry, we got cut off there. That should be the last time we lose you. I thought much the same. Tyler Adams seems to be playing really, really well in this system. He cuts out play. He directs the play. I think he's going to be a really, really important player for us.
Yeah.
And again, I'm gutted also for Sinisterra. It would be such a shame for us to be in a situation where we lose what looks like he's going to be our flair signing that replaces Rafinha. So that would be a real shame. Tekken Racker says one of our full-back bombs forward. I think the other should stay behind, which is again a very, very good point.
I think he started with Strike at left back, didn't he? And then he
Strike looked okay in patches.
Strike did look okay
left back, but then he also made a few mistakes as well, which was unfortunate. But again, it's the first time I think I've seen him so high up the pitch. I don't think I've ever seen him quite so high up the pitch as I've seen him today, and seen him crossing the ball. It's also interesting to note that Harrison spent some time at left back. What did you think of that?
I don't think he's a left back. I think he's an inverted winger personally.
Yeah,
Hello, Toby.
Tony Gregson apparently, but that's Toby. So we're interested to know what you guys think about the game. I think that for the first half of the game, we seem to be in a situation. I mean, don't get me wrong, we were playing against the Crystal Palace side that got some of the more notable signings, and what's interesting about it is that Vieira has been forced to keep half his team in the UK having different sort of pre-season games to the team that's gone abroad, and that's largely because some of them haven't been able to meet the entry requirements for Australia. I think that's to do with vaccination, quite frankly, by the look of it. That's interesting in itself. But what's happened is there's some of the first teamers who are really important as far as the Crystal Palace is concerned were absent, so we weren't playing a 100% strength Crystal Palace team.
Yeah, I think we really struggled against a Palace B team. Let's not use the rose tinted glasses. It was pretty much a B team. They didn't have Zaha. They didn't have Edouard. They didn't have what's the England guy? Guehi. They didn't have Guehi. They looked quite.
The Shelhigh from Vancouver.
They weren't a proper full team really, and we were
worried about chance creation in the final third. Ben Jack says we need a playmaker to make things happen, and I agree with that. The thing is we had a playmaker
in Hernandez.
And he used to pick those balls out. I would say though, one thing that really did impress me, one player that did impress me. Darko is clearly above Forshaw. Don't agree with that. I think that there were times in this game where he looked like he was running through wet sand, quite frankly.
Rodrigo scored though. Rodrigo scored the penalty, so you can't really...
I think Rodrigo scored a penalty. You'd expect... I would have 50% chance of scoring a penalty against the goalkeeper because the goal is that big. Rodrigo put the ball in a sort of still ball situation. I think for me, one thing I've found is I've seen Forshaw playing 2 or 3 games now since Marsh has come in and since we've had these signings and since we're beginning in our pre-season. Forshaw is looking like a different player. He's looking like the player where I think Bielsa, when he came to Leeds United, said that Forshaw was the best player at the club. Forshaw isn't the best player at Leeds United now, by no stretch of the imagination. But I tell you what, he's performing better than Click.
And it looks like Marsh is giving it. Yeah. It looks like Marsh is giving him the captain armband quite a few times in this pre-season. So is that a hint to the season starting with Forshaw at captain or what?
Is he seeing him as a leader on the pitch, perhaps? Yeah. Rasmus Christensen really can pick a pass. There's no doubt about it. He can pick a pass. 2 or 3 occasions he was interacting with the winger that was playing on that particular wing with him and playing the ball inside and outside the defender. He seems to be able to pick the right pass, and I really like him.
Yeah, he looks good.
So for me, I'm just going to go and get my notes in actual fact. So you're going to have to give me a second.
Okay.
I'm going to go get my notes. I made some notes, made some match notes, and they were downstairs. Just give me a second.
So I was watching the game in English class, really, because obviously it was on at 11:05 here, and I came out of PE and I was watching it in the change rooms, and we had to go to English. So I was just sat watching it with my bag on the desk and my phone leaned up on the bag watching it. And then when we scored, I sort of like that, and the teacher sort of clocked it, so I had to put my phone away. But it was a decent first half, I think. But then the second half was a bit more shaky.
I think. I mean, obviously, we talked about the defence. Let's begin by talking about the defence. So, left back, you called that.
Yeah, I did. I think I didn't call Strauch at left back. I called Hjeldo at left back, but I did call Harrison as an inverted winger. So.
That's right. Yeah. Christensen for me Rodrigo is too slow. I have high hope for Joffrey. He's brilliant, said Michelle Lee. Joffrey for me looked a more dangerous player on Dallas, Texas. I think Joffrey will score 10 goals this year. I think I would also agree with you, Jack, if he stays fit. I think if he scores less than 12 goals, I'll probably be quite disappointed with that. I think that he's a real prospect, Joffrey. There's no doubt about it. People are seeing something in it, and there's a reason for that, because this guy is inventive. He looked at a danger today in a way that Bamford didn't.
Yeah.
Is that to do with Bamford's match weariness or his fitness, do you think?
I don't know. I think that Bamford, but he could time a really good run before he got injured, and now all of a sudden he doesn't look half the player that he was before.
Yeah, Jed, Joffrey ahead of Bamford. Maybe.
And a new striker in ahead of both of them, hopefully.
I think Bamford is one tackle away from injury. I have to say it. I don't know if anybody noticed today that Bamford wasn't wearing studs on that pitch. Bamford was wearing those rubbery soled, like the AstroTurf trainers.
Was he?
Yeah, he wasn't wearing eagle-eyed dad, you see. He wasn't wearing studs today. And I'm wondering if that's because there's some underlying injury to his feet and he's not quite 100%. He's not 100% fit. He doesn't quite have that touch. He's not confident going for the ball, like he's putting 100% in and not worried that he's going to pull out the tackle early. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know what that's up with him not wearing studs though.
It's concerning. It is concerning because you'd expect him to be wearing the appropriate equipment for that kind of pitch. But
it was a bad pitch. It was a bad pitch, to be fair.
And Michelle Lee put that Bamford's confidence has gone, sadly, and he was wearing blades. Yeah, he was wearing blades. Joffrey has played the first half instead of Bamford. Maybe, yeah, that's again a very, very good point. I mean, we're meant to be talking about the defence. We've not even come on to the up top yet, but I think we'll come back to that and we'll talk about Bamford and we'll talk about Joffrey and Greenwood up the other end of the pitch. But let's begin by talking about the defence. I think we played okay.
Yeah.
There was one particular moment where we were very, very exposed. And I think it was it Click that was the last man back?
Yeah, he looked terrible, to be fair. He looked absolutely abysmal for me.
Yeah, I think this is going to be the season that's going to find Click out.
I think it could be gone by the start of the season anyway.
How long is it since Click scored?
He scored 1 goal last season and it was against Everton on the second game of the season.
Yeah, I think Click was somebody. Click was somebody that he used to pop up at the edge of the box and arrive late in the box and score as the old goal in the Championship. But he's not. I've not seen him do that in the Premiership for a very, very long time.
I mean, he did the first season in the Premiership. He did score quite a few. He did chip in with a few goals. So this season, really, in particular, has not been great for him.
Somebody's just said, who's that? That's just said that Ben Jacks that Llorente proved that. Llorente proved that Strauch and Cocker the best centre-back pairing. Completely agree with that. I think that there's got to be an injury for him not to start with that lineup.
Charlie Allen should be given a shot. I agree. I can't quite recall. I've seen him for the under-23s and he seems decent, but I've never noted what position he plays. Just tell me in the chat, the HPN, what position he plays again.
Don't like Strike at left back. I would rather a specialist in there. I'd rather Strike.
I'd rather just bring in Josh Tymon from Stoke or bring in. I mean, we've lost. Obviously, we were linked with Tagliafico from Ajax, but he's gone. He's gone somewhere now. He was transferred, so that ship sailed now.
So we've got when we saw and we've been saying about the wing back situation, how we're expecting to see wing backs crossing the ball in. I don't think, and I may be wrong, and perhaps there'll be somebody there with some stats, I don't think I can count on more than one hand the amount of times where Strauch or Koch playing left back or right back, or even Ayling. No, I may be wrong because Bielsa liked that double crossover. But what I found today, let me just correct that. I did find that I was seeing Strauch on that side, and I was also seeing Rasmus on the other side getting to that byline and crossing the ball. And I think that whoever was in left back or right back they were actually getting to the byline more often than the actual wingers themselves, who seemed to be inverted and seemed to be coming in. That's probably a bit of an indicator as to what we're going to see next season. But how did that leave us exposed at the back? There was one particular movement, the movement that actually led to the goal.
I think it wasn't man marking, it was just pressing forward and chasing the ball. Everyone just liked chasing the ball. And I think that if the ball's too far up the pitch and we're all chasing the ball, then there's not too many people left back and they can just run down.
I did see a bit more ball.
And that's how they scored, really, from a counter-attack.
I did see a bit more ball recycling.
Yeah.
I didn't see Leeds perhaps pressing the same way that Jesse Marsh, with the ball, now just going directly to goal. I think that Palace were a lot better at breaking play up than Villa, they seem to be. And indeed, Brisbane and Blackpool. So I did find that because they were counter-pressing, they were pressing us, I don't think that we perhaps headed towards goal in the way that Marsh system would allow, like in the previous games. And we only really looked completely and totally exposed once. We only got completely. We only looked wide open, probably once or twice in that game against. Now let me break. We weren't playing the number one Palace team if I have everybody fit, but we were playing a Palace team that we may see. We had 11 Premiership players there. We weren't playing 15-year-olds, were we?
Yeah, no.
So
John McGinn snapped them all.
Yeah. Let's be frank about it. We were playing a reasonable Palace team, and I don't think we looked second best in that game. I think we held our own.
Fairly equal, really, for me. It was a fairly two-sided game.
Yeah, we did win a penalty, which we obviously dispatched.
Somerville won the penalty with his fancy feet, the dribbling he does, and then I think he'll be a good player for us next season, Somerville, with 5 subs.
Yeah, I think so. But that one time when we did get cut through, we were all at sea. We were completely and totally wide open. Click was the last man back. Bob was right.
Yeah.
He wasn't up to it. And for me, when people talk about players that perhaps aren't playing at too high a level, and players that they're not at sea, they're not playing at too high a level. People were very critical of Forshaw at times last year for the way that he played the ball back and constantly recycled. What I'm finding and what I'm now seeing is that that's probably to do with the formation and probably to do with the instructions he were given in the game.
Yeah. Because
we're seeing a much better player this time round. Spells he's been on the pitch. He's a different player to Tyler Adams, but I think that he's rightfully challenging Tyler Adams for a place. I don't think it's a given that Adams is going to be on the pitch in front of Click. In front of Forshaw when a man has played.
That's a good point. Yeah, I don't think that Click's going to get many minutes next season, unfortunately.
Click won't.
I just don't think he's there. But I think Forshaw will.
Calvin Bassey.
No, he's gone. We should have gone for him. Yeah, I think he was at Rangers, wasn't he? And Villa were looking at him. I don't know where he's gone now, but I do know that he has moved. Who could? I know he could have solved a lot of issues. James is suspended for the first match because of his red card. Aronson on the left, Harrison on the right, and Joffy in behind Bamford against Wolves. Decent.
I think if Aronson plays on a wing, it's more likely to be right than left. Bearing in mind how he gets played. Loving Rocker. We're loving Rocker.
I think he's going to be ace.
I forgot about the fact that James
did go Ajax,
James is suspended for the first couple of games, isn't he?
First game.
But I don't think so. So anyway, we've kind of covered the back four there. I personally would like to see us preferring Cock and Strauch at centre half. Personally, that's my opinion. And as an American, Leeds has become my new favourite team. Yeah, good. And we will be looking at the USMNT.
USMNT, yeah.
During the World Cup, it's bound to be more exciting than watching England. The way that England are lining up at the minute, it's embarrassing.
No Leeds plays in England now, really, is there?
Yeah, no, just Calvin, who's a Leeds boy, but not a Leeds player. So that's the defence. What do you think? What do you guys think? Do you think that as a defence we still need to strengthen? I know there's people talking about us needing a centre half. There's people talking about us needing a left back. Let's just cycle through who we've had at left back in these pre-seasons. We've had
Davis, Harrison, Strauch, Yelder.
Strauch at left back. We've had Yelder at left back.
Davis,
we've obviously had Furpel at left back. And we've obviously got at the club we've got Dallas at left back, who's going to be out for a while.
I still think that Dan James would make a good left back, and I know he's right-footed, but I would liken him to probably a Johnny Otto from Wolves who scored against us. As I say again, it wasn't hard to score against us at that point, but I do liken him to Johnny Otto. Started out as an inverted winger, and then eventually, slowly, he dropped back into left back, and now he plays left back all the time. But he's a right-footed left back. I definitely, I think that they're quite similar profile if you were to put James at left back.
There's people in the chat, Tekken Wrecker, saying that Llorente shouldn't be starting at all. I think Llorente did have a really good first season. I don't think he had a great second season. Given how edgy all the Leeds fans are, Freddie Mac's saying, do you think pressure will build immediately on Jesse? I do hope not. But then again, I will say that we were losing games at the end of the season, and Leeds fans were really, really... I think we would be, with the amount of money we spent and what we've seen come in, I think we'd be tremendously disappointed if we finish 15th, for example.
And even the problem with Marsh now is if he goes, then we know he's going to take loads of our players with him.
Yeah.
If he does go at the end of the season, he's going to take loads of our players with him, as he's done with RB Salzburg and RB Leipzig.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, and Ben Jackson said a decent left-back and backup experienced keeper. Yeah, this is all being said. We have got depth in the left-back situation because we have got different players who can play that position, but we do need a left-back specialist, and we do need, in my opinion, somebody better than Thurpo. So I think we do need, and people saying that Leeds need pace at the back.
Carl Walker would be a dream. Obviously, you're not saying we should go for him, but the speed of him, I think he would be good.
Carl Walker, how much would Carl Walker cost us?
70 million. He's quite old. I'd slap a 60 to 70 million price tag on him, really.
I don't think Leeds are going to spend that amount of money on the player at that age, quite frankly.
20, 28.
But yeah, interesting what you say about Dan James with his pace, but it doesn't seem like Dan James has ever been considered at a left back. Is he left-footed or right-footed?
He uses both, but his primary foot's right-footed.
He ain't going to be used as a left-back.
It's possible. It is possible. I liken him to Johnny from Wolves again.
Yeah, okay. So that's our defence. Without a striking left-back, we can't score. Completely agree. We're going to talk about our attack in a short while. What's
Anthony Robinson would not be perfect for that. I get he's American. I get his that's all he's got. He's American. It wouldn't be perfect. No. I'm not even going to go into detail. I would. It wouldn't be an improvement on Firpo. It wouldn't. It just wouldn't be an improvement on Firpo.
That's attacking record. That's a really, really good point. You could position Dan James to hang back when we take set pieces. I mean, he's not got the height to really have an impact on those set pieces.
No. We didn't score. We didn't score a single header last season apart from the 2 Dan James scored. So don't give me the big one about that. Right, we scored 2 headers last season and both of them were Dan James. He beat Tyrone Mings to an aerial.
Right.
Dan James is a good player in the air.
So if we're talking about 4-2-3-1, what did you think about how he performed at the middle of the pitch?
In the middle, I think that we were decent. Tyler Adams. It seems that people are a bit split on him. Some people saying that he wasn't good enough. Some people saying that he's the best thing since sliced bread. I think that he was absolutely brilliant. It's the ball playing that's the problem. If he can't pick out a pass, then don't try and complicate things. Just pass it sideways to Rocker and let him do the heavy lifting. Because Adams can make a good challenge, but it's his passing that lets him down.
Adams?
Yeah.
I've seen nothing wrong with his passing.
He made a few stray passes. He did make quite a few stray passes.
Yeah, okay. I'll take your word for that. But I did think in the previous games I've been really impressed with him.
Yeah.
And I do think his engine's good. I also like his aggression. He's very aggressive, which is also good.
He did have a few nice ones, but he also had a few. You compare his passing to Rocker's today. I think Rocker was clear.
So who do we think that Jesse Marsh is going to start with in those two roles? Let's say Wolves.
In CDM, it's Wolves, Rocker and Adams. I think he'll start with.
You think it's going to be Rocker and Adams and not Forshaw?
I think Forshaw will come off the bench. 5 subs.
Has he done enough? Has Forshaw done enough to be in contention?
He's definitely done enough to be in contention. 100%.
Let me ask you a question. 105 people in there. First and foremost, we are only on 34 likes. Do us a favour, please slap a like on the video. I do want to ask the question. Now, we're obviously got rosy-coloured spectacles with regards to these new signings. We've got Adams and Rocker in those berths. If you were looking at things without those, we have got a new transfer in, this is a new toy, and we want to be playing our new players as much as possible. Would Forshaw, with what you've seen, would Forshaw feature in front of the other two? Where would we be? Who would we be starting? Bearing in mind the form that we've seen in the last 2 games. Would we be starting with Forshaw? Would we be starting Adams, and why? So somebody here, I think it's, what have we got here? Who's just put that? Chris Fox has put, from the US, watching Adams since his teen years, he's better situated in a pivot role. Okay, and he's used to playing that in the US national team, which is fair play. Badras has put Forshaw's got to be on the bench, gets too injured. Okay, that's fair enough. I understand, but again, that's all previous stuff. I actually personally think I don't think Forshaw's done a lot wrong. He got absolutely leathered in that first half today. He does get injured. But does he end up? Is he a little bit slow skipping out of tackles? Rocker Adams, Rocker for his passer, and these are okay. I'll take that. I mean, I don't have a set opinion. I just see that Forshaw has played some of the best football I've seen him play for quite some time. He got boring at the end of last season. He's extremely pass resistant. Yeah, Adams. Everybody's talking about Adams. That's good. He seems to be getting a good reaction. Okay then. So what do we think in terms of the actual wings then? What about that right wing? We've seen two players play there, 3 players play there today.
Obviously we saw James, Sinisterra, and Harrison. Was it that we saw on the right wing?
We saw Harrison, James, and we saw Somerville there.
Yeah, that's the one, Somerville. Sinisterra went off injured, didn't he?
Yeah, but he was on the left wing, so we're not going to talk about it just yet. What do we think of? You think James? James has been playing quite well, I would say. Who was it who skied it? James took a shot and it was like a million miles over.
No, Click.
Was it Click?
I was watching because I was sat at the English desk and my mate was behind me watching it with me, sort of peering over, and I just turned around and just shook his head like that.
Jarby should play before Forshaw, hearing there's as many as 4 still to come in. And that's also quite interesting. I didn't mention Jarby, of course. He's had a good game. I think where we're at the minute, we've got Jarby, obviously we've got Tyler Adams, and we've got Rocker. Do us a favour, Dad, and increase the font size of the chat so we can read the comments. Can you increase the font size on the chat?
I don't know. Keep talking and I'll have a look at it.
No. No, probably not. We're going to leave it as it is. What we need to do is you need to read the chat while I'm talking and vice versa.
Yeah.
Don't we? Right. Okay. So I'm going to move forward a little bit. So we've got a situation where we've got Adams, and we've got Forshaw, and we've got Rocker, and we've got Giabi. Who else have we got in that five midfield? We've got Archie. It seems to me that we've got 5 different players to play in that two, and it could be any 2 of those for me. I do think Rocker is going to provide us that little bit of an added element going forward, which I think is important because he plays he's able to see a Calvin Phillips type pass. I think Tyler Adams gives us a tenacity in that midfield. I think Forshaw is quite composed on the ball, I will say. Giabi seems very mobile.
Yeah.
And Archie, again, is composed, but it's going to be interesting to see how he develops in his game. I think right now, it's probably Forshaw, Adams and Roker are the preferred 3. Giabi slightly after that. And probably Archie, just on account of his age and his development, is probably 5th. But I do think he'll play some minutes. He'll play some matches, maybe perhaps in cup games this year. So that's going to be interesting. But for me, I would probably agree with the people in the chat. I would say it's going to be Adams and Roker that are going to be starting.
Yeah, I think I agree.
Right. So now we've got that covered. Let's go on to right wing. What did we think of Somerville?
Okay. Somerville was good, won us the penalty. His dribbling looks mint. I think that he's going to be massive for us next season. Obviously not starting, but I think with 5 subs, obviously he's going to play a bigger part than he did last season.
Yeah, again, Tobes it was quite interesting what he says about Forshaw and who his partner is. There might be something in that in terms of the balance. Harrison looked way off the pace. He couldn't beat his man. No real threat at all. I'd snap Newcastle under for 25-30 million. Well, I'll be quite honest with you, Harry. I'm really glad it's not you making the decisions at Leeds United, because I think if we have our 2, I think the goal contributions from Rafinha and Harrison have totaled about 55% of our club's goals last year. And if we lose both of those, I think that's just too much churn, too much turnover.
Yeah, Somerville will be an impact sub.
Somerville will be an impact sub on account of his pace, and that is probably the limit of what he's going to do this year. He's a different player in the 23s that he is in the main team. He probably needs to bulk up, need to put some weight on. He needs to strengthen himself a little bit, because to me he looks a little bit lightweight at this level. And I love watching him in the under-23s. We've seen him on more than one occasion on the under-23s completely rip another side apart.
Riley, are you suggesting Ayling at left back? Ayling, Cooper, Llorente, Adam, are you suggesting Ayling at left back, or are you suggesting Christensen at right back?
It's got Christensen and Ayling in the same side.
Are you suggesting Ayling at right back or
and Aronson and Rodrigo playing, but no Harry? Interesting.
I think we can all speak for ourselves. You need to check them mushrooms you've found, mate.
Hey, that's a bit harsh. Is his opinion?
It's a bit strange though.
Rodrigo should be shipped out. Okay.
Hybrid.
Forshaw is quality. If he stays, we have a headache in the number of positions. Agreed. We should have gone for Nketiah. I didn't think we had much choice. I think we were going to go for Nketiah, but I think he opted to stay. If we're over 30 million for Harrison, let him go. Who are you going to replace him with? Who are you going to replace him with that's going to step into the Leeds United squad and just give us 8 to 10 goals, just like that? He's given us more contributions every single season that he's been here at Leeds United. He's probably one of the most underrated players in the Premiership, in my opinion. Harrison, yeah, he goes through patches. Yeah, he has games where he goes missing. But when he turns up, he's a game changer. Are you worried about our end product? Yes, we're going to come to that.
Leeds never have a good pre-season, though, let's be real.
No, well, okay, I don't know about that. You want to speak on probably the last 2 years. Let's talk about Somerville.
4 years, really.
Somerville looked a little bit lightweight. For me. Harrison, I don't think we get as much product out of Harrison at the right wing as we do on the left wing. I think if we're going to play somebody on the right wing, for me it has to be James.
Harrison's your captain all day, Joe Day.
Yeah.
Might have to disagree with you on that one, fella.
Harrison might move to one of the two strikers.
Yeah.
Riley, I've not seen him play in that position yet, so I couldn't possibly.
We did. We saw it. We saw it a few times last season.
Yeah, I don't think we got much out of him, quite frankly. I think if we're going to play him, at least we played him left wing or left back. That's my opinion. I don't think we get as much out of him as an inverted winger. I just don't. But again, I think Dan James is better in that position, and Harrison is basically backup. If we're going to play Harrison at left back, he needs to perform slightly better than he has done so far, because there are other options like Hilda who are going to get the pick in front of him. But I don't think we should be moving him on, regardless. I think he's important at the club. I'm pretty sure he was playing second striker when he got that hat-trick. That's interesting.
I'm pretty sure he was on the left wing. I think he was on the left wing.
Every single one of them goals seemed to come from the left, from what I recall. Harrison cutting in from the corner to shoot on the right foot, right side. Do you remember that goal he scored for Liverpool, which was the first goal we had in the Premiership?
Against Liverpool, you mean?
Yeah, for Liverpool, against Liverpool.
Yeah.
That were an absolute perler of a goal, and it was with his, I think it was with his right foot from the left wing, from what I remember. Dan James would play right wing. Completely agree. Harrison is such a confidence player. If he could up his consistency. Yeah, I agree, Ben. That's exactly what I think. I think that how he's not at some stage been knocking on England's door is well beyond me. So that's interesting. So that's the right wing position. I think the sort of consensus is in that we should be possibly be looking to Dan James to fill that position.
Yeah. Right, left wing then.
Left wing.
Harrison for me. No, Sinistera. Harrison inverted winger, Sinistera. As a Sinistera on the left, Harrison on the right.
Did you watch the game from the beginning?
Yeah. That's where we started, isn't it?
How did he perform?
Sinistera.
I missed the first 20 minutes.
He looked good until he got injured. Someone put that in the chat as well. He looked decent. He was making runs. He was taking the ball around players until he got injured, and then he went off. But for me, he looked decent.
He tweaked. It looks like he tweaked his hamstring.
Yeah.
The news on that, by the way, it seems like Jesse Marsh is saying it doesn't look like a serious injury, which is interesting. And also the news as far as Forshaw is concerned is they're expecting that's possibly his knee, which I think is that kept him out all that time. So it's a little bit of a concern. I think the players just lent on him a little bit, and it's caught him a little bit funny. As far as Bamford's concerned, he seems to have come through, but really wrap him up in bubble wrap. It's only a matter of another time until he has a season-ending injury, because let's be honest, this guy is somebody, if you were to bet on him being and playing perhaps 30 games this season, it will be unlikely. Harrison should not be playing at left back. Leeds need a proper left back. Completely agree with you, Michael, but unfortunately, as we've not signed one yet, we have to talk about the options that we do have. What is it with Leeds and injuries? I know having said that, it almost seems like we've gone into the last two games with playing against teams who seem to want to butcher us and give us injury problems before we even start the game. Perhaps next year we need to look at playing friendlies against teams that aren't in our league. What do you think of that, Dan?
Yeah, I think that's. I think we'll probably do a America tour next season. Really.
Yeah,
it's more likely.
What do you think about the attacking midfield or two strikers? Attacking midfield and a striker.
Brendan Aronson and Joffrey, and Aronson can sort of play as a false nine and like sort of our Foden plays and sort of come up and play in the front two.
So would you start with Joffrey or would you start?
I would start now after seeing Bamford today. If he doesn't get back to where he was before, then Joffrey starts and Aronson behind him.
Yeah, if Harrison was perfect, he would be at Barca. Like Rafa, agree. We should not be going back to Australia. Also agree with that. I think the standard of the refereeing today was much better.
Yeah.
Much better than it was in the previous game, which they've obviously stepped it up because it was flashing those cards around. It's a wonder a player didn't pick up a second yellow card. Aronson can play as an inverted winger. That's also interesting. We shouldn't be playing Premier League games in pre-season. Completely into that's our sentiment. Aronson does look a threat. But for me, Bamford looked ring rusty and is one of the reasons why we definitely need to be signing a striker.
Some MLS teams holding up nicely against Premier League in pre-season, some not so much. Is that a dig at Everton that I sense, getting beat 4-0 by Minnesota?
I think Everton are in trouble.
I think they are as
I
well.
really do think Everton are in trouble. Manchester United have got not a lot to look forward to this coming season. Did you see the comments that De Jong made about Manchester United?
Yeah.
Did you see
Yeah.
that? He doesn't want to
Saying
go
that
to Man U because Man U he doesn't like man. He doesn't like.
the
He might as
City.
well have just called them scum. He thinks it's a poorly run club. That was
He doesn't
amazing.
like the City.
Oh, that was amazing. It made me laugh. People are worried about Charles de Ketelaere thinking he preferred to go to Milan rather than Leeds. He's not slagged Leeds off. He just says he prefers Milan. But De Jong's
think-
saying, I'm not going Manchester.
I think CDK could still come. Milan were meant to have discussions today
Maldini,
with
yeah.
Club Bruges, and I've heard nothing from them. I think that all I've heard is that they're not willing to go above 28 million. Leeds are offering upwards of 40 million. He's going to come, I reckon. He's going to come.
I was listening to the Just Joe show just recently, and he would the conversation was quite interesting. And apparently, there's some sort of algorithm. There's a guy that they've got there who judges the value of a player, and they have a thing where they will not go above that valuation for a player no matter what. They're currently at, I think, 32 million euros. We're at 37 or 40 million euros. Bruges, we're still in it, which suggests to me that he's not completely and totally ruled out the fact he might come to the Premiership and might come to Leeds United. He just has a preference. And Milan is saying he's going to be a Leeds. I wouldn't like Harrison. CDK is going to be at Leeds. I actually think that we're going to sign
as a
him.
left back. Gakpo as a left back is quite a statement there from Nero.
I wouldn't be shocked if we got Gakpo as a left back. I think that I'm going to enjoy the relegation battle this year that Everton are taking part in, knowing that Leeds aren't also taking part in it this year. It's going to be interesting to watch Everton's relegation battle this year when we're not in it with them.
Just before we start finishing up, who do you think the next transfer in the door will be?
I think with Charles de Ketelaere.
Yeah, I think it's. I was talking about Callum Wendo, but it looks like those have gone a bit cold now. I still think that he could come though. I think it'll either be Callum Wendo or CDK. It's a 50-50 now for me.
Could you imagine if we signed CDK and brought Charles de Ketelaere and CDK in and Harrison went? How would you feel about that?
Well, neither of them could play left wing, so I don't think we should bring both of them in. To be honest.
Sinisterra can. Oh yeah,
Sinisterra
Leeds is a little bit. Like Dan James can as well.
Yeah, for me, Gakpo's the replacement for Harrison if he goes.
Yeah.
It's Gakpo or Otavio for me.
Yeah, I think Charles de Ketelaere is going to come to Leeds.
CDK can play left wing, but it's not his Nero. It's not his primary position. I would much rather have a out and out left winger.
Who's the left back from Rennes that is rumoured?
I have heard of rumours of a left back from Reds. I can't remember his name though.
Right. I think CDK will come to Leeds because I think that we're now in a situation where AC Milan have reached their ceiling and where they're going to go. And once Bruges get their act together and basically turn down, and there's somebody made the comment about social media, perhaps even negative about the game. Yeah, I think so, but I actually am not too concerned about that. Does Rasmus have a brother? I think it's called Arnold. Maybe not. But I actually think we're in a situation where CDK will come here. Finances do matter, and I think that Bruges, there it seems to be like they're almost saying to us and to Milan, let's continue bidding it. But when Milan come to the end of their road with their prices and they just turn that down and say, well, you're not moving, then you're gonna have to stay here. And if they dig their heels in, I think Charles de Ketelaere will be a Leeds player. So I actually think that there's probably 40% chance he's going to end at us, but I can't see Bruges now, and having not caved to Milan. And by all accounts, Leeds' bid is 37 million plus add-ons, and Milan's bid is 32, including all the possible add-ons. I can understand why. Now, again, people are also saying we're running out of time. People are saying that we're running out of time. I think that we will be in for and having conversations with other players right now, and I can't see that we're going to be leaving ourselves exposed in that area. We do need a striker, and if we talk about Leeds' performance up front, what are your thoughts on that today?
I think we looked a bit poor going forward, to be honest, for me.
Yeah. What was it that was it the lack of chance creation? Was it the finishing?
It was the chance creation was okay. We created a few good chances. The one that comes to mind is Rodrigo playing it across the goal, and there was just a little bit too much on it. But there was another one where Joffy curled a shot towards the goal, and Gator managed to get his hands on it. But I think that our chance creation was okay. It's just the finishing in the final third, just getting the ball into the box and getting a goal is just, for some reason, it seems too complicated for the Leeds players to do that.
Just on a side note, I think that the young comment is quite funny about him when he's at Barcelona saying that Man U are poorly run.
Yeah.
You couldn't make it up, could you?
That is
really
an
funny.
insult. That is an insult to Man U.
I got a Man U fan at work today who says I'm really looking forward to the start of next season, and I'm thinking I can't think why. Do you know what I mean? We've got 143 people in the chat. We've got 60 likes, so please, if you're not subscribed, subscribe. But snap a like on the video. It just helps us with the algorithm. It helps us with people that view it. So please make sure you do that. CDK is not an out forward. So I'm playing for Bruges. Centre left against CL.
Centre left.
Yeah, against Manchester City. He was their standout player, but as an attacking midfielder arriving late in the penalty box. Yeah, that's again a possibility. But Leeds don't see Charles de Ketelaere as a direct competition for what's it say here? Love to hear it, don't you? Any Man U slander? Yeah, absolutely. Makes me feel all fuzzy inside. I think, like it's almost like the same sort of comment as Haaland when Haaland says, "Why would I go to Man U if I want to play in the Champions League?" I think the question is with CDK. I don't think Leeds are going to sign a player that, or should be signing a player that's direct competition for Joffrey. Personally, I think we need to be seriously considering somebody to back up for Bamford, somebody who is that number 9, striker, because I don't see Bamford being, what we want. You don't always get. I get that CDK and Milan don't have the cash, and I think we will bid higher if they up the bid. I think you're right. I think we're going to get into a bidding war. Leeds are just going to win that, and if Milan see that we're going to continue, and if Bruce see that we're going to continue, it may just be that we end up signing him. What did we think of Greenwood today?
I didn't see much of him, to be honest. I didn't see much of him. I don't think he even started. I think he came on for a bit. I didn't really see too much of him.
Leeds Live give him a 7 out of 10.
It looked. I saw him make a few passes and make a few runs, but I'm not gonna sit here and talk about him saying that he played really well because I wasn't fully focused on it.
Yeah. So who do we think played badly today?
Who do we think played click? Had an absolute stinker. Llorente was mediocre.
I think Rodrigo missed a goal that he should score. A couple of times last season, Rodrigo was clear away and should have squared the ball to Rafinha to score. Rafinha, it was on a couple of occasions, did exactly the wrong thing. His decision making is shocking when he's under pressure, when he's got somebody bearing down him and he's 1-on-1 with the keeper. He ain't a finisher. He couldn't hit a cow's ass with a banjo in those sort of circumstances. Leeds in striker with pace that plays on the shoulder of last defender. Agree with that. Rodrigo is just not good enough. He ain't a playmaker. He ain't a goal scorer. What does he provide for Leeds? He's been poor since we signed him. We got done over by Valencia. Completely agree. For me, he's somebody that I would quite happily see out at the club if we could replace him. Takes too many touches. It's well said.
He does too much. He complicates stuff a bit too much. Llorente is the same. He gets the ball rather than just passing it out. He's a player's running at him and he's like Cruyff turning. He's trying to do skills. He's trying to flick the ball around and then dribble around the player, but he just needs to play it out. They both overcomplicate stuff.
So this season for me, whereas Rodrigo was a starter, Llorente had to be a starter because of where we were at.
With injuries.
You need to be reading that if I'm talking. And we were in a situation where another player that started quite a lot of games was Click.
Yeah, Rodrigo always looking for the Hollywood pass. That is pretty much Rodrigo summed up, really.
Those 3 players today weren't good enough, and we continue to go back to playing those 3 players. I'm hoping with Aronson coming in that we're going to start seeing less and less of Rodrigo because he just isn't good enough. He isn't good enough. To say he's the highest paid player at the club is an absolute travesty. Really, we should be shipping him out and bringing somebody in to back Aronson up because Rodrigo just isn't good enough. And at the age that he's at, he's 30 years old. I don't particularly want him at Leeds United. Might be a really nice guy, but he just wastes too much of the ball for my liking. Llorente, again, not good enough. Not good enough on the ball, not enough composure. There are better players in and around the club. Who'd take Rodrigo?
Not me.
If we could get 10 million for him, again, I'd get my car out garage, quite frankly.
I think... Who would actually take him, though? I'm keep talking. Let me try and think.
Click is a championship player. And again, at the age that he's at, he shouldn't be starting for Leeds. He just shouldn't. It should be Aronson at centre attacking midfield, perhaps. And if he ain't fit, we should be playing two up front. It's quite simple. Click shouldn't even be an option. He shouldn't be anywhere near the team.
Yeah.
Not even as an impact sub.
I was just going to say Galatasaray links to Rodrigo. I also think Anderlecht could be a suitor for him. Just keep your eye on that one because Anderlecht just signed Fabio Silva, but he could be a good option as experience for him. He could be quite a... It could be a decent signing for Anderlecht as well.
Just on a side note, to be in a situation where and I think Man United showed some interest in Click, but he didn't want to go there.
Did they?
No, I'm making that up. But what's really interesting is that for Man United to be losing Pogba, to Ronaldo want to be away from there as soon as possible, and De Jong to turn around and say he doesn't want to go to Man U, no problem. That's really, really interesting to see how they're now falling from grace. Newcastle United, there were Geordies bobbing around all over the place saying that we're going to be signing Mbappe, richest club in the world. Can't even put a decent bid in for Harrison.
To be fair, they have sizable players though?
Yeah, I know, but they've not got the money, or they're not flashing the money around. Everybody said they were.
We could throw Rodrigo into the CDK deal, but I think that Bruges are only going to want
could throw
cash.
into a river. I didn't say that.
I
tell you what, I felt like that when I saw him miss that one-on-one earlier on today.
I think Bruges just want the cash up front, really.
Yeah, I agree. So that's our talk about Leeds in terms of their performance today. Joffrey, for me, was offside far too often. He needs to sort that out. Leeds need another really good transfer window, another 6 players. Maybe... but I think at this stage we were buying replacements for replacements. I don't think we need 6 players. I think we need a really good centre forward. Yeah. We need a really good left back.
Yeah.
And for me, possibly a goalkeeper. A Juan Mata to come into back was touted. He ain't coming to Leeds, but somebody who's like a Pablo Hernandez replacement. Yes,
that
100%. That would have been the Pablo Hernandez replacement. Someone like a Pablo Di Canio. Somebody who's aging, experienced, wizard would be exactly what we need right now. Who can change a game just by finding a decent pass. Perhaps hasn't got the legs, but maybe doesn't need the legs. That kind of player. And we've got away, and we're good to go. But what we're going to do now is we're going to just begin to look at the transfers we've brought in, and as we are now getting to a point where we're seeing a picture of what these players bring to Leeds United, what we're going to do is we're going to go back through each of the transfers a bit at a time, look at the actual money that we spent, and ask the question: do we think those players are going to be successful? Do we think they're a good transfer and represent good money, or do we think that in actual fact we could have looked for better? So we're going to begin by the first transfer of the window, which was Aronson. What do we think about Aronson?
He's looked okay in the pre-season. He looked a bit shaky against Brisbane, but he does look quite a similar profile player to Foden. Obviously, Foden's on a different level altogether, but he looks very similar profile to Foden for me.
I think Aronson could potentially be a good little bit of business. And he's 21 years old. He's cost us a fair amount of money. I was looking at Twitter, and somebody on Twitter was saying that Aronson isn't even necessarily in the starting 11 for United States. That probably tells me how far the United States have come on as a footballing nation in this last 4 to 8 years, up in between the World Cups that we've been playing. Because for me, he's a good player. He's going to provide us a lot of energy. He's also going to provide us a lot of danger. in the attacking third, and I think he's a creator and a ball winner, and also somebody who can see a pass as well. Really excited to see Aronson buzzing with that we've brought him in. Now I've had a look at him. What do you think?
I think that he looks good, and obviously, I've just said he looks similar to Foden. He's getting involved in the front line. He's not as such getting assists, but he's more going for goal.
Bless you. So then we brought Christensen in. Like the look of him. Again, this is the era where fans go on and look at YouTube, look at highlight videos, and we all make a decision as to whether Christensen is a good player or not. Obviously, we don't see his bad bits; we only see his good bits. But my word, what good bits we see! There's energy there. There's a tenacity to win the ball back, which is really important when we see the Oris
Someone saying, "Come on, Man U." I don't know if that's a joke or if you're genuinely a Scum fan, but if you are, then get out.
So Christensen looks the real deal to me. And what was it? 10 million we paid for him.
10 million.
That looks like a good bit of
12
business.
million, I think it was somewhere between 8 and 12 million.
That looks like a good bit of business to me.
It was.
Christensen is exactly what we needed in that role, and I would just love to see him weighing with 6 or 8 goals.
Stolen
this
off
season.
of Brentford as well.
We whipped them out from underneath Brentford, which is great. Again, this is one thing that Aaron has brought. It seems that people who have played with Aronson, people who have played with under Jesse Marsh, seem to want to come back and play with them again, which is really interesting. Good bit of business that I think he could potentially be our signing of the window.
I think he could be. What about Rocker?
Rocker was the next player to come in, and to be fair, I think that Rocker. At that point, we started to become aware that Calvin Phillips was going.
Yeah.
So we brought Mark Rocker in. And again, he's somebody that's had a long time out in terms of playing first team football. He made a move to Bayern Munich.
Yeah.
Bayern Munich?
Yeah, he went from Espanyol to Bayern Munich.
And he was really good for Espanyol. He's on the brink of signing for the Spanish national team. And he's a thousand cybernetic organism. Absolutely, but I think we looked at Rocker and Rocker we weren't sure whether he was going to be a bit ring rusty, whether he was going to be up to it. But my word, I like what I see with Mark Rocker.
Yeah. What about Adams?
Adams came in next, but before that we lost Phillips.
Yeah.
Do we think we're going to miss Phillips?
I think we stayed up without him last season. Let's not beat around the bush. He hardly played for us after he got his injury, and in the Newcastle game, I believe it was, and he wasn't. We didn't utilise him last season. So are we really going to miss him that much? It's just going to be like last season, but with improvements.
Yeah, we talk about Calvin Phillips and what you've got to take with Calvin Phillips.
Adams is a good player.
Obviously, he's instrumental in that Leeds United midfield, but he's only instrumental if he's actually fit and playing. And that was the thing that we really suffered with last year. Tyler Adams doesn't look to be injury prone in that regard, which is massive. So for me, I think Tyler Adams and Rocker seem to be an improvement on Calvin Phillips and an upgrade on Calvin Phillips. And by the time they get bedded in and we get to somewhere to the middle of the season, we can really see what we've got there. I think we're going to be really good at winning the ball back, better than we were before. And the question is whether we're going to see better distribution once that ball is won back.
Yeah.
It will take time for him to gel, undoubtedly. The only issue with Rocker is his lack of pace. That could turn out to be one. But there are players around him with plenty of pace. So not necessarily. Is he going to be that midfield maestro? Is he going to be what we're missing with Hernandez?
Both the midfielders we signed are really good.
I think so.
And Sinisterra.
Yeah. Sinisterra was the next player to come in, is that right? Was he the next player to come in?
No, yeah, he was after Adams, yeah.
Sinisterra, I think, to be honest, we were all blindsided by Sinisterra. We were expecting to see Gakpo or
Otavio.
Or we're on about, obviously there's Kamara as well, wasn't there?
Yeah.
People were saying they preferred Mo Kamara to Adams. I'm quite happy with Adams, to be fair. KP didn't have pace. No, he didn't. He had an ability to spot a decent ball. Adams, I think if you stop knocking the camera, that would also be quite good. Yeah. So again, I think Sinisterra looks like he's going to be good. We're not really seeing a lot of him. He's not been on the pitch too much. Jury's out for me.
Again. Yeah, it's a hit or miss, really.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there.
Just who was your man of the match today? Just quickly.
For Leeds,
Yeah.
it's difficult to say. I don't think anybody had a particularly standout. So Aronson looked lively,
Aronson looked good for me.
and Greenwood looks really good.
I think Aronson or Gelhardt was my man of the match. Gelhardt had a few good chances.
Gelhardt should have scored that one-on-one he had with keeper.
But Stroud was good as well, actually.
Yeah,
He made quite a few good crosses where it looked like it could have been a dangerous pass.
I think I would say Aronson, but I think Gelhardt's timing was slightly out. Archie Gray is the Hernandez replacement. Now that's really, really interesting. Yeah, I hope so. I really, really hope so. Obviously, love the family, like what they are to Leeds United.
Yeah, Gelhardt man of the match as well, Riley.
Maybe, but for me, a striker has got to stay on side. They've got to stay on side, and to be in a position where you're receiving the ball, and when you get the ball, you're 2 or 3 yards in front of everybody else, but you're in literally 10 centimetres offside. It's that 10 centimetres that's a problem. So
Gray Nandez, yeah.
Gray Nandez, maybe. These new signings will need longer than a couple of training sessions to play well together. I completely agree with you. We're just grading what we've seen so far, and obviously we can see individual skill. What do we think of Jarby?
I think he's looked good when he's played. He seems to be a decent passer of the ball, and he's quite a big lad for an 18-year-old.
Yeah, he seems athletic, and he seems able to compete at this level. Again, he's only going to get better. I'd be interested in seeing, and this is what I think, because when we look at seasons and we look at breakthrough seasons, the difference between the team that starts the season and the team that is a regular finishing of the season is obviously interesting.
Yeah.
So who do we see come through last season?
Joffe came through, really. Stroud came through. Joffe came through. And I think that was about it. There were quite a few. Because obviously we were handing debuts out like sweets. Really, we had Gelhardt came through, Stroud came through, Greenwood came through quite a bit. Lewis Bate as well started to get some minutes, and Shackleton towards the start of the season was looking good, and then all of a sudden got injured, like most of the players did.
I think it's interesting that there are players that had an opportunity last year that wouldn't have had an opportunity because of the injuries. Are we going to find that this year we're going to have a better year on account of the injuries that we had last year if we keep players fit? Because last year with all these players fit, it caused us to bring players up to the under-23s. Bearing in mind it's now under-21s, is that going to mean that we've got more options? Now, Cresswell got an opportunity and obviously didn't impress, which is why Cresswell's been loaned out. He's actually sold. I think, is he sold?
Cresswell?
Not Cresswell, sorry.
Shackleton.
Shackleton's gone out on is it a loan to buy or is it
loan to Millwall?
It's unlikely that he's going to come back by all accounts.
I think he will. I think he'll come back.
Okay. Cresswell's gone out to Millwall. I think he's going to tear the Championship up and come back as a player that's going to more or less slot into that first team.
And Shackleton went to Millwall as well.
The longer the CDK saga continues, the more likely Leeds are to get him. Completely agree. Leeds are standing firm on the number one target. We really need this guy. I think to talk about this transfer window, I think it's been the most exciting transfer window.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think that it's been one of the best windows since the O'Leary era. People have said. I think that it's been a really good window for us.
I think that, literally speaking, our transfer window is not yet complete.
Yeah.
I think that if we sign if we were to sign CDK and we were to sign a decent left back, I think we would say that Leeds' best window in years. Actually, I agree, Riley, but I would say I would struggle to tell you a better transfer window.
Barry Douglas will be playing in the Champions League next season, and there's a left back that was injured all the time, and we released him last season and bought in Firpo, and now he's going to be playing in the Champions League next season. So it's quite a bit.
But I think the CDK, I think we'll have some clarity on that within the next 24, 48 hours. And you just watch how many of the YouTubers, Leeds United YouTubers, are out in force. You might see a raft of 10 videos announced, because if Charles de Ketelaere comes to Leeds United, bearing in mind 6 or 7 weeks, people were calling him CDK because we couldn't pronounce Charles de Ketelaere. He's now the name on every Leeds player's lips.
Kettle chips is what a lot of people are calling him.
He's the name on everybody's lips. We need a Stinkler Stardust. I'm still concerned with the lack of experience of English football. Was confident until I saw that Liverpool...
What Liverpool did to Leipzig
last night.
Darwin Núñez, 4 goals. He seems like a good player for me.
Yeah, I get the thing with Leipzig, but I also think that, you know, we got bear in mind we came up from the Championship that first season. We surprised a lot of people with Championship players. We've got to put that down to Marcelo Bielsa and his training. We've got to put that down to the motivation of the players. I think we've taken a squad that, in actual fact, didn't do too bad that first season, and we've improved upon it. Leipzig have also, yeah, that's a really good point, Riley. Yeah, absolutely. Liverpool battered Leipzig, but Leipzig are missing players that have left, and some of them have come to play at Leeds.
Yeah.
So perhaps they would have done better. Perhaps they would have done better if they'd have kept those players. Perhaps we've stolen some crown jewels, and now Leipzig are in a bit of a situation. Also, Leipzig have got a new manager, so good point. Dallas will play when he returns from injury. I hope so. I like Dallas. I think he's been a great servant to the club. Never causes any problems. Always works really, really hard. So that kind of rounds it up for us.
Yeah.
So again, let us know in the comments below what you think our chances are next season. Somebody's asked us what we think is our a good season for Leeds. What do you think is where we're going to fall? What would you think is a good season? What would you think is disappointment this year, Dan?
For me, with all the signings we've made, it's 14th to 1st, really, because obviously you can't. No, I don't. Speaking realistically, 14th to 9th. But what would make
magic mushrooms earlier on?
What would make me happy is anywhere from 14th to 1st, because obviously anywhere between there, including top 4, would make you happy. It would make you happy though.
Top 15th would be good.
If we're talking realistically, 14th to 9th, really, for me.
What? I'm thankful that Leeds have not gone as mad as Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, no, Nottingham Forest have completely destroyed their wage structure. Completely just ripped it to shreds. They're not going to be able to afford all of the stuff that they've promised these players.
Jesse Lingard gets injured and he's out for 6 weeks, and their season's over as far as I see it. And we're in a situation where we rely too heavily on Bamford. And I'd love to see us bring another striker in.
Yeah.
For me, I think where do I think we'll finish? I think we'll finish 9th or 10th. I would love for us to finish somewhere between 6th and 10th. I'd love for us to be in a situation where we're coming close to those European places. I think anywhere in that bottom half of the table would be, for us, disappointing, bearing in mind how much we've improved the squad. And obviously, if we were at any point in that relegation zone after the first 10 games, I'll be devastated, because I think we spent a lot of money, and we'll be thinking, right, where do we go from here? We need to have enough of a kick on that we can see progression now with the amount of money that we're spending. We're still net income as far as the players going out and coming in is concerned. We still light 2 or 3 key signings. It's going to be interesting to see if we sign anybody else or we hear any rumours. We will continue to be doing videos and summing up what those rumours are. I'm hoping that by the time we put our next video, we'll have some movement on the Charles de Ketelaere saga as to what's happening there. I hope it's positive. I hope he's coming to Ellen Road. But apart from that, it's smash a like on the video. Please subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. Subscribe to the channel. Put a like on the video for us. We really, really appreciate it. And we will see you next time.